Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one think we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, what up? Talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
I'm Corey Pegues, and you know always keep it right, not real. I'm also a veteran of the United States Army, and today I want to shout out all the veterans who have served this country honorably. You deserve this day. Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today on Corey's Corner, we're joined by a man whose leadership has shaped the very fabric of Queens. New York State Senator Leroy Comrie represents the 14th senatorial district covering Jamaica, St. Albans, Hollis, Laurelton, and beyond the very communities where he was born and raised. A proud son of South Queens and a child of Jamaican immigrants, Senator Comrie has spent decades fighting for justice, fairness, and accountability. From his early days as president of his local community school board to 12 years on the New York City Council and now in the state Senate, he's built a reputation as a tireless advocate for working families, seniors, and small businesses. As chairman of the Senate Committee on Corporations, Authorities, and Commissions, he oversees some of New York's most powerful public entities, including the MTA and NYCHA, ensuring transparency and equity for all. Whether it's protecting homeowners, advancing MWBEs, or expanding access to quality education and health care, Senator Comrie's record speaks for itself. Today, we sit down with a man who continues to champion the people of Queens and embodies what true public service looks like. Senator Leroy Comrie. My brother, thanks for coming on Corey's Corner.
Thank you for having me on Corey's Corner.
Pulling up a seat on Corey's Corner.
All right.
Before we start, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, okay? This episode of Corey's Corner is sponsored by Corrupt Mob MC, where brotherhood meets the open road. Respect the mob. And Vaquila, the smooth fusion of vodka and tequila that can kickstart any conversation. Shout out to both of these entities for sponsoring this episode of Corey's Corner. Senator, let's start right at home. You were born and raised in South Jamaica, Queens, Hollis, and St. Albans. How did growing up in those neighborhoods shape your passion for public service?
Technical correction. I was born in Jersey City, moved to Queens when I was 3. Just got to keep it real.
No, we keep it right on Corey's Corner.
We keep it right. But, I moved to Bricktown when I was 3 with my parents. And growing up in Bricktown was, right for me because we learned hard that you have to make sure that you stay focused on what was important. Mm-hmm. Bricktown was transitioning, grew up there in the 60s and the early 70s. We moved to Queens Village in 73, 74. But I grew up in Bricktown during that time, and it was a difficult time. The neighbors next to me were crazy. I mean, they were always fighting. It was always activity, people rolling in and out of their house. And it really forced us to be real contained as a family with a high level of communication, walking to make sure that we were treated with respect and that we weren't pushed around by the rowdy neighbors. So it gave me a demeanor and gave me a focus from then. And then, my church, grew up in an Episcopal church, St. Albans the Martyr, right on Farmers and Dunkirk. Mm-hmm. Had a lot of people there that were focused on keeping us on the right and keeping us moving in a proper direction. So, my parents were always politically focused as well. Coming from Jamaica, they always talked about the need to be involved in government and politics and in a level where they were inclusive and constantly bringing other people in to talk about government issues, to talk about politics in America in general. Not so specific as local politics. Mm-hmm. That's something that I evolved into once I started.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you. What inspired you to get into politics? Was there a moment or a mentor that inspired you to get into politics?
My dad, and then watching, watching Watergate, and watching my dad move, because he was always bringing people from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, acclimating them to New York, filling out their paperwork to get citizenship. So as soon as he knew I was capable, I was filling out the applications for green cards and citizenship. As soon as had my driver's license, he was sending me to the airport to pick people up.
Yeah, imagine now, right?
Yeah,
look at the pendulum. Look how the pendulum swing to now
That's
today.
True. That's true. So, and then watching Watergate, realizing that power could corrupt, and that, there was an opportunity for people to be involved in government, because I didn't see anybody that looked like us in the Watergate hearings. There was nobody, not even the pages, that looked like us.
Right.
There's something wrong with this picture where, folks would be in a position to control the government, and there's nobody there that looks like us. When I went to the immigration offices, there was nobody there that looked like us. And that just spurred me to want to get involved directly.
That's great. You studied at the University of Bridgeport. Is that Bridgeport, Connecticut?
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Wow, my godson graduated from there 2 years ago. My son is a senior in high school right now, and I just today was like, I need you to fill out for Bridgeport. And now I'm looking at these cards. Yeah, it's only like an hour or something away, right?
Yeah, but Bridgeport University is closed. Unfortunately, they are shutting down. I think their last graduating class under that banner is this year.
Oh, they're closing down.
Yeah, they're closing down.
Okay.
And they're going to be absorbed by some other universities, and they are struggling as a private college, and they decided not to continue.
How did your time there prepare you for your career in government and leadership?
I got involved with the folk there in a big way, the Black Studies group. And when I first got to Bridgeport, it was very interesting because, I kind of found my voice and on a political bank, because I got involved with the different groups there. Got involved with my fraternity because I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha there at the University of Bridgeport, and the camaraderie that I had with my crew, because there were 16 of us. We were the first line. We were the jewel line, and we started the chapter there. So we had brothers from all over the Eastern Seaboard come in to try to trip us up to keep us from pledging. But we were a tight unit of 16, and we kept each other's spirits up. We kept each other, going. And if anybody was faltering, we would be there to help each other. Yeah. And that gave me a real basis for wanting to be involved on a community level, and bringing back the idea of helping and holding on to your brother, was important.
Speaking of that, before you was a senator or in politics, period, you was the president of the local school board. Yeah. Right? What lessons from that experience still guide you today?
Just learning how to have a proper argument. There's you can be argumentative, but then you can have a opportunity to have a real constructive conversation to get something done. I'm about results. I'm not into just arguing for the sake of having a fight. I want to get to a result. I want to get to a solution. I want to find a way to appeal to people. And when I first got on the school board, the old school board members didn't want me on because I was working for my predecessor in the city council, Archie Spigner at the time.
Mr. Spigner,
he thought I was they thought I was just going to politicize the school board on his behalf. But, I had 2 kids in school. I had friends with their parents with their kids in school. They wanted me to get on the school board and make a real difference. So it took a while just to convince them, the other school board members, that I was there to do the right thing, to focus on making corrections and improving the school board in general. That's where I really learned how to have constructive arguments to try to get to a solution.
So you served 12 years in the city council and school board, now senator. Right. How do those responsibilities differ from the city council to the state senator?
Well, it's sort of similar because you're trying to be responsive, but the areas of responsibility have changed. On the city council, we were taking care of local issues. On the state now, I'm working on issues that affect everyone in the state. So it's a different type of it's a different set of responsibilities. In the city council, I was working with the Department of Transportation on streets. Now I'm working with the Department of Transportation on highways and road pavings. Working with NYCHA on one end on the city council, but now I'm working to follow through with NYCHA on the state level, making sure that they are being responsible agency and that they are showing how they're spending their dollars and that they are actually following through on their promise to ensure that all of the apartments that are in NYCHA are available for repair and making sure that the state puts more capital money into NYCHA to make up for federal deficits. We're never going to completely get there,
Right.
but we have to push the governor and state representatives to do more for NYCHA.
So during your 12 years on the city council, you were often at the center of big budget issues. What was one of your most defining moments from that period?
Just talking about NYCHA, we were the first council, our class in 2003 was the first council to give money to NYCHA. And they were normally just getting their money from the state and federal government, but we actually gave both capital money and the first time we gave them expense money to try to offset their bills. That was something that I was proud of doing. Also, the Black Male Initiative that's at CUNY was something that I was directly involved in, trying to make sure that that funding got done. Charles Barron was the architect, but they were determined not to let Charles get it done.
Right.
But they came to me to try to convince me not to help. But I knew that this was bigger than just an individual.
Exactly.
The opportunity to give extra resources to young Black men were bigger than any individual that, society might not like.
Right.
It was bigger than Charles. So I pushed hard working with CUNY and getting to the rest of my colleagues to make that happen. Another initiative that that we were very proud of there was creating also a program for culturals, long-term cultural programs that had been around, minority programs that had been around for 20 years to get direct funding and a special pot of money from the Department of Cultural Affairs. They were not funding our local minority cultural programs like Black Section Theater, like Albany Alley, the different Latino groups that hadn't been able to really tap into real dollars in the city.
As chair of the Senate Committee on Corporations, Authorities, and Commissions, you oversee major entities like the MTA and NYCHA, which we've been talking about.
Right.
What reforms or improvements are you most focused on right now? Everyone talks about MTA and everyone talks about NYCHA. They don't really be saying a lot of nice things about it.
Right.
So what are you focused on now?
Getting both agencies to be efficient in how they spend their money and transparent about how they spend their money. The MTA has actually done better in their capital program, making sure that they are building things on time and on budget, but they're not talking about it. I've been pushing them to do a dashboard where anybody can go online and see how the MTA is spending their money. They started it since I've been chair. They've been improving it every year because in the beginning you couldn't figure out anything when you got online, but now we're making sure that it's transparent. Also, forcing them to talk about what their concerns are on a regular basis so that we can understand as a community what the issues are with the MTA. The MTA is a huge agency spending billions of dollars, but we need to make sure that those billions are being spent efficiently and that we're cutting back on waste and we're cutting back on unnecessary uses. So we call the MTA to the carpet on a regular basis. They've been better at showing how they're spending their money, and they've been more efficient at spending their money. And, we were able to convince the MTA to do more as far as bringing new service into the area. Now we just did the bus redesign, which is allowing for more bus service to come in the area. We've increased the frequency of the trains. We also were able to develop the Fair Fares program, which is a program that gives people a discount. If you're riding the trains from the Jamaica area into Manhattan, you can pay $5 now, which is something that's brand new. And you can do that now around the city in the Fair Fares program during off-peak hours, you can ride the Long Island Railroad, and that can save you up to 5 hours a week.
So I'm going off these cards right now.
Okay.
Because I just got all this stuff flying through my head, and I gotta get it out. Because you dropping a lot of jewels. We talked about when your father, when you was young, you was doing the immigration thing. I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about what's going on today in the United States with immigration, with ICE. Now I know that in New York City, the mayor had kind of allowed ICE to be on Rikers Island, but then the judge came down and overruled that because we're a sanctuary city.
ICE should not be in places where people are trying to live life. ICE should be going after criminals, folks that are harming the system or gaming the system. But instead, ICE right now is focusing on going after, folk that are trying to survive in this economy. And they're actually at the courthouse where people are just trying to get their proper paperwork.
Yeah, so is there anything we can do, not we, the legislative body upstate New York and Albany, to stop? Because for me, for the life of me, I don't understand how people are going down with legitimate appointments. They've been doing these things for a long time, trying to get the American dream, and ICE is there. That doesn't even make sense. You're scaring people. They don't even want to go. So you can't win either way. You go down, you're going to get locked up. You don't show up, they come into your house.
Right. Well, we are working. We're doing some research because we have very limited opportunity as a state body to interfere with federal rules, but we're trying to research that now. We have some members and some lawyers that are looking at it because it's not right. So we're looking at trying to figure out ways to limit ICE from moving into the federal building. But it's a federal issue and it's very difficult. So, I can't make any promises that we're going to have headway on that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would encourage folks to be ready to vote. They got to be ready to vote.
We need the House and the Senate.
We need it back badly.
But we can't do like Obama. So, I was a police commander. I was a top police commander.
Right.
So I had juice. And you know what I used to do with my juice? Drink it. This is by Keela, but I drank my juice.
Oh, okay.
Obama had the White House, the House, and the Senate. And what he wanted to do? Play nice in the sandbox.
Right.
Trump get the House, the Senate. He said, hey, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. Why? Every time we get juice, we mess up. Look, Eric Adams, get the juice, mess up.
Well, people get conservative and they get paranoid, and unfortunately, they allow the press to dictate their movements. And instead of ignoring the press and focusing on what needs to be done, they're getting all personal with it. I mean, if you look at the Adams administration, actually did a great job on a lot of different things.
He actually did a lot of good work.
A lot of good work.
But he did so much buffoonery that you don't even see the nice stuff.
Right.
You can't even see it.
Right. And instead of having other people speak to the good things that was done, he tried to be the sole conversationalist or sole arbiter. And, he had great people. I mean, Maria Torres Springer, Camille, Moshe, his finance chair. He had some great staff people.
Yeah, he had about 26 that's indicted under investigation or had to resign too. And 4 deputy mayors left in one day.
Well, they left because they saw that there was nothing left for them to be able to effectively do. So unfortunately, he had people with him that were stuck on stupid and didn't want to think about.
I didn't say that, so I want y'all to know that wasn't me, okay?
I said it.
No, on Corey's Corner, we keep right conversations here.
It was a big disappointment that happened because he wanted the first black mayor in 30 years to be successful.
Absolutely.
But, he had a crew of people that looked out for themselves and weren't looking out for anybody.
Yeah, it was just bad.
Wow.
Now, you sponsored major legislation like the Transit Worker Assault Bill and the database of deals. Which accomplishment are you most proud of?
The Transit Worker Assault Bill is something we've been fighting for a while. But
that was huge, though.
Yeah, we got a bill passed this year with the Attorney General that I'm hoping the governor will sign. She's vetoed it 3 years in a row.
So tell us about the bill. Would they be charged with a felony?
Yeah. they would be charged with a felony.
On assault on a transit worker. And that's MTA, bus,
bus, trains,
everything.
So
that's good.
Right. And it was important that we protect our workers. And some members were concerned about folks, getting in trouble or winding up doing jail time unnecessarily. But you got to protect the workers. So it was important.
Don't nobody come to work to get beat up.
But and then the person that beats you up gets to walk automatically. It was ridiculous.
I co-sign that for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the drinks to go bill. That's your bill?
That was my bill.
I love it. I'm so happy. I read it. I got these cards today. I read the questions. I'm like, oh, it's a person I did. So what motivated you to support it, and how has it impacted small businesses after the pandemic? Tell us about the bill. Is this the bill where I go in and I'm at the bar drinking and I'm ready to go, but my drink is half full? I say, hey, can you give me a to-go cup?
Exactly.
We have the sponsor here.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Because I was guzzling for years. Don't want to leave the drink at the bar. Finally, you can take it home and sip.
Well, it's important to give people that option and make common sense. When the restaurant industry came to me, because, a lot of folks go to have dinner. They're not drinking. They want to make sure that they can get home, but they bought a $30 drink.
Right.
And
I understand.
So they wanted to be able to carry it with them. And
it's a lot of states I travel to, you could do that.
Yeah. So it didn't make sense for it not to happen. I was happy to sponsor the bill and work it through because there was some teetotalers in our legislative body that were being silly about it, but we were able to push it and get it voted through, and the governor was only too happy to make that happen. So
I love it. Thank you. So Senator Comrie, you see this? He passed to drink to go. I love it. You champion protections for seniors, property tax reform, and foreclosure prevention.
Right.
What progress do you think still needs to be made to keep homeowners and aging residents secure? Because we hear stories sometime about people come in and just taking their house with the deed. I'm scared to death myself with my house. Every time I see these commercials where they're taking your deeds, I'm scared. Like, I got to run downtown to see, my name's still on the deed.
Well, that's one of the things that we're doing is to make it harder for people to steal your deed online. So that's some legislation that we started this year. We're going to perfect it next year. We're working on making sure that the courts are being more responsible, because that's a big problem.
Right.
A lot of people will go to court, and we need to give them more lawyers to help them as well. So we're putting more money into the court system for legal aid lawyers to help people to make sure that you can have a lawyer when you go to court on a foreclosure issue. But the biggest thing that we need to do that we're working on is to make sure that the laws reflect clearly what the steps are for someone to go through. Right now, a lot of it is left to interpretation by the judges, and they get overwhelmed because the bank will show up with 9 lawyers trying to seize one property. And that's just problematic.
Yeah.
So we need to give the Supreme Court justices and the justices a better path so that they can work through those issues.
Okay. Your opioid antagonist bill and other public health legislation have saved lives statewide. Really. How do you see government's role in tackling the ongoing mental health and addiction crisis? So with addiction, I always say there's only 3 ways you can deal with addiction: counseling, treatment, and education.
Right.
You can't arrest your way out of it. Even with mental health, we always call the cops.
Right.
Somebody's emotionally disturbed, cops come there.
Right.
Sometimes they end up shooting them and killing them, when we should probably have some counselors like they're doing in Denver and all over the state. And the addiction crisis, we locked them up, put them in jail. Yeah. They get more high in jail. There's no reform. Yeah, well, so, what are we doing to tackle that ongoing health?
Well, we have to
mental crisis.
We have to create more opportunities for these groups that are helping folks to get them more money and more resources. There are not enough beds. There are not enough money that we're giving to addiction prevention services.
Are you open to open more mental health facilities?
Definitely.
Because growing up, my father was a bus driver for Creedmoor.
For Creedmoor, yeah. That's
Many
another
years
reason
ago.
why I would never support Cuomo again. He closed Creedmoor and created all of these small places that the mentally ill don't want to stay in. You know, I mean, a lot of the folks that are on the street now is all due to Cuomo because he closed the large institutions and tried to create these small group homes that don't work. He closed Creedmoor, and for us, like you said, your dad was a driver that we lost a lot of work.
A lot of work
there, you know, because he was trying to help out his friends and not think about the greater need to make sure that we had a larger place for mentally ill people to go. And I agree with you. We do need to have programs. Zoran Mondani is talking about emulating what is done in other states with mental health crisis teams to come out instead of the cops just being there, unable to understand and interpret what a mental health crisis is.
Listen, it hurts my heart every time I see a cop kill a mental person. I'm always saying, like, yo, the police department set that cop up because the cops don't have the capacity.
Right.
So you figure we go to the police academy for 6 months. Got domestic violence training.
Right.
You got medical training.
Right.
You got CPR, opiates, all of this training and mental health.
Right.
Shooting. Like, you got to put all of that in 200 hours. We don't really get it. You don't get it. So now when a cop get there, the guy is 6'5", butt naked, frothing at the mouth, right out here, and you call the cops, and he said, yo, if you come near me, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
The cop, I don't know no jujitsu, no boxing, no nothing. And Rover's coming at me. Man, I'm laying him down.
Right.
And this is what... Instead of having mental health, but now we go to these mental health, you go to the hospital and stuff, they always calming people down without a gun all the time.
Right.
So it's not rocket science to do this stuff, and everybody's mad at Mandambi for the record, so I don't have a vote. It doesn't matter to me who wins, but he's saying something new, fresh, that we should probably give it a shot.
Definitely. We cannot ignore the opportunity to make change and to continue to improve ourselves. That's one of the things that I've understood a while ago. If you think that you've done it right and there's only one way to do it, you're passé. There's always change. I mean, and there's always, you got to be open to change and open to take on new ideas and open to try things. So
what was your take on the 2025 mayoral debate?
That happened last week? I thought that, Zoran did a great job of pushing back all of the negative stuff that was being thrown at him. He stayed focused on what the issues were. I thought Cuomo looked like a desperate person throwing barbs, trying to dig up dirt, as opposed to focusing on the issues. I mean, you're there to talk to the voters about what you're going to do for the city. All he did was try to pick on Zoran and claim this and claim that. And Zoran was very good at deflecting and also reversing some of the stuff. But
so I think we had the same analogy.
Yeah.
I thought that Mandami was very energized, fresh. He actually reminded me of Obama, not Obama, but remember he came with, yes, we can, some fresh ideas. He had Mandami got all these fresh ideas. He's young, invigorating. Yeah, from what I hear, his ground game is really crazy.
His ground game is serious.
Cuomo looked very antiquated, old ideas, and just looked like a old politician. And Sleewood was just like trying to get a word in. He was just standing there. He was wood.
He was wood, but he actually handled himself pretty well too, I think.
Now it's time for a segment that we do here on Corey's Corner called a Spitfire Round.
Spitfire.
So I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
Okay.
You give me yes, no, or one-word answers.
All right.
All right? If you want to elaborate, please make it brief.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Best spot to grab a meal in Queens?
The door.
Favorite Jamaican dish?
There we go.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
I was going to say, you're always out at night. One song that always gets you in a good mood?
Kirk Franklin's Praise.
I don't come up with these questions. This is a good one.
Okay.
Knicks, Nets, or no stress?
I'm a Knicks fan. I can't handle with the Nets.
Well, we've been waiting since 73. This year's, we looking good this year.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Hidden gem in your district everyone should visit. Like a nice spot.
Oh, a nice spot. Oh, okay. A restaurant? Well, the Catch there's a lot of folks don't know about the Catch on Linden Boulevard.
The Catch.
There's another spot, the Live Kitchen, which is a great vegetarian spot on Merrick Boulevard.
Okay.
In Laurelton. And, I'm like the Door and Sangria's restaurant. Those are my spots.
Okay. Then, if you weren't in politics, what career would you be in?
Law.
I figured you probably say that. One word to describe Queens.
Exquisite. There's nothing like Queens.
Kings from Queens. Yeah. Queens get the money and all the honeys. That's what they say.
Queens gets the money. And, Queens is a family area. Queens is an area that focuses on having a good quality of life, trying to make sure their children get to do better than them. And, it's focused on home ownership and pride.
Last question. Who inspires you the most, past or present, living or dead?
Who inspired me the most, other than Martin Luther King? Like I said, on a local level, David Dinkins.
That was good. Thanks for participating in Corey's Corner. Great job.
I'm glad to be here.
You did good. So let's take a toast. All right. Let's toast to Vodkila, that smooth, refreshing drink.
Toast to Vodkila, local producer. Amen.
Local producer. Queens. Okay, before we jump back in, on this show, we always talk about accountability, leadership, and redemption. So I'll be remiss if I don't talk about my book, best-selling book, 3-time award-winning book, Once a Cop, The Street, The Law, Two Worlds, One Man. Please, if you get an opportunity, read the book. You won't be disappointed. And also for the visual people that like to see stuff, the book was turned into a feature documentary called A Cops and Robbers Story. You can see it streaming on Hulu and Apple TV. Now, a word from our sponsors.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
Peace and blessings, love and light, everybody. This is New York City Public Advocate Jamani Williams, and you're listening to Corey's Corner, where he always keeps it right, not real.
You've been a strong advocate for smart, sustainable economic development. What's your vision for creating living wage jobs while keeping Queens affordable for working families?
Making sure that our children get STEM in schools, making sure that they get after-school programs. One of the things that I've been trying to push on the state level, especially since the shooting in Tops. We need to make sure that our children are in school until 8, 9 o'clock at night, getting ancillary educational opportunities, also creative opportunities, so that they can feel good about themselves and confident. A lot of schools now are developing opportunities for kids to have an associate's degree by the time they finish high school, which will give them a leg up. So we need to improve those programs, and we need to bring back music in schools. We need to have full music programs in schools. When I was growing up, the wood shop and band, those gave kids an opportunity to express themselves creatively.
Yeah, I played the clarinet. I hated it.
Yes. I did too. I wasn't much fond of the clarinet either, but that's what they gave me. But you know, I had a lot of guys that had their own, garage bands.
Right.
And it inspires creativity.
Yes.
So we need to have that back. We need to give kids things to do so that they cannot be on the street.
Exactly. So let's talk about the proposed casino development project that's led by, the face of it is Nas, the rapper from Queens.
The future is not something you wait for. It's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. it's energy, it's opportunity, it's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business, this is legacy. And now, it's time to invest in us. Because the future doesn't ask for permission, it moves with purpose. From our chairman to our newest employee, we're committed to Queens. And in Queens, the future is now.
How are you going to ensure that local residents and small businesses actually benefit from this project? Is your office going to be working with them? Is that in your district? A piece of it?
Resorts is not technically in my district, no, but I've been working with them since they've been there.
Okay.
They have hired a lot of people from my district. They are working with minority vendors. They don't hesitate to support every nonprofit that reaches out to them for support. Their new development is going to be working with the major unions to develop housing out there, as well as 2 new hotels along with the theater venue.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
they're going to have a sports complex with Kenny Smith, right? Retired Queens.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is Queens. I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Resorts is doing everything Queens.
They're doing everything right, and they deserve to. They set the standard for gaming in New York State. They deserve to have the full table gaming.
And somebody very, very high ranking at Resorts just called me yesterday and told me to stand by. They're about to announce training for the community to do dealing. So that's going to be dropping very soon. So y'all better listen up on the radio, look out for newspapers and bulletin boards. I'm pretty sure your office will be putting that stuff out.
Got a lot of good union paying jobs that will be coming out of Resorts and everything that's there now. And they're improving their restaurants now. They're putting in new things in there, and it's really going to be a place that, if you want to just go hang out, you don't have to gamble, but to just go to have a good meal, a good steak, or some good food, and enjoy a show, you can go to Resorts.
That's nice. Looking ahead, how do you see Queens evolving over the next decade in terms of infrastructure, transit, and opportunity? Because I'm looking at, they're going to call Jamaica Avenue, it's going to be called downtown Queens. It's going to have to be.
Right.
I'm looking at all these buildings over there by Sufton, by the Long Island Railroad and stuff. It's reminded me of Brooklyn, how you could drive down Myrtle Avenue going toward Manhattan. You think you're in Manhattan because it's a whole skyline. Is that going to happen in Queens?
It's going to happen in Queens because, people are now realizing that, it's a transportation hub. You can walk to the Long Island Railroad.
20 minutes to Manhattan.
20 minutes to Manhattan. So Jamaica Avenue is on the cusp of really blowing up. And they have some new buildings there. The Monarch, which is right at Parsons in Jamaica. It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
Their amenities are equal to any building in the city.
Right.
They just built another new building right behind the library, Ruby Square.
And the terminal was over?
The terminal's coming back. So the elected officials all together forced the developer to promise to restart the terminal after they put up their new project. So they're looking to put up a large housing project there, but the terminal will come back. Won't have the donut store or the pizza.
Right. Margaritas is out of here?
Margaritas is hopefully still be there for a little while. Margaritas, I forgot to mention margaritas as a hidden gem.
I'm a Gabby's guy.
You're a Gabby's guy? I like both.
I'll settle for margaritas, but if I had a choice, I'm a Gabby's guy.
I go to both. And margaritas is, you go there just to grab a slice and keep it moving. Gabby's, you can go hang out.
Yeah. Margaritas get you that $75 summons.
That's true. That's the problem with margaritas.
You also serve on the Public Authorities Control Board, which reviews projects like Penn Station's redevelopment. What are the biggest challenges in balancing physical oversight with the need for progress?
Making sure that they understand that progress is bigger than just one project, that it's, like Penn Station, we need to make sure that people can travel from Penn Station to Albany to Long Island on one seamless train. And that's one of the things that I've been pushing through running services. Every other major country has the opportunity to transfer trains at their major hubs. We can't do that at Penn Station.
No,
it doesn't make sense. So with the rehab that needs to be done there needs to make it so just like in Switzerland or England or France, you can bring the local train in, transfer, and take it to any platform and transfer without having to have a real problem, and have to change stations. So it's important for our economy for New York that we can attract people from all over the Eastern Seaboard to come into Penn Station. And to do that, you need to have through running. So that's been a battle that we've been working on to try to get the government to do that, because Metro North doesn't want to play with Amtrak, and Amtrak doesn't want to play with the MTA, and the MTA doesn't want to play with the Long Island. They want to have their own individual hubs there. It's ridiculous.
Right. With so many New Yorkers worried about housing and affordability, what state-level policies are you advocating for to protect both tenants and homeowners? You got to admit, like, New York you almost priced out. So all my friends, they want to go down south.
Right.
They love it down south. Right. They go down there for a year. They getting like $800,000, $900,000 for their house here, and they go down south to buy their $400,000 mansion.
Right.
They can't get back. They priced out. When you leave New York, it's over.
It's over.
You can't get back. Yeah. I mean, unless you really got some money.
No, we got to build more housing. But one of the problems with building housing in New York is the federal requirements and the alternative median income, AMI. The way they design it matches neighborhoods like Jamaica with Forest Hills, which skewers the actual number for the income that you need.
You think? Yeah.
It creates a problem. So we're working to have a state program that would get around that, so we could actually lower the housing cost and to lower the AMI for projects. We need to also, understand that where we can put more density, we do need to build more in those areas so that we can accommodate all of the people. New Yorkers, people are coming into New York from all over the world. While folks may be moving, people are buying these homes.
Yes.
And, there are people from the South Asia, the Latino countries, Latinx countries, and they're buying these houses. My block is changing.
Yeah.
And I had an all African American block 10 years ago. My block now is South Asian and Muslim.
Yeah, I believe. And they really build their house. They fix their houses up very nice. They maintain their houses really, really nice. I went to my old block, 198 in Murdoch. Growing up there, it was always parking. There's no parking.
Right.
There's everywhere. I got 18 people living in their house.
That's true.
This is insane.
It is.
There's no parking. I mean, this is Queens. You're supposed to have parking in Queens.
Everybody's double, triple down.
Well, I guess when I was growing up, there was one car to a family too.
Right.
Now I got 3 cars. Cause you got all these cars, one family. So I get it. It's a little different. You've also said that government must be responsive to the needs of all people. What does equitable representation mean to you in 2025?
Making sure that we have a full piece of the pie, making sure that the state government is doing more for minority communities, that we have folks that are getting jobs, getting contracts, getting opportunities but that the state is purchasing products from them. That the state is hiring more people across the board in every agency, and doing the work to make sure that everyone understands on the state level that they have to be more inclusive, and making sure that when they show their statistics, that they show a breakdown of how many employees they have that are minority, how many businesses they are working with the minority, how many contracts that they're doing with minority businesses, and also how much banking they're doing with minority vendors as well. So those are areas that we're all working on in MWBE to ensure that there's more minority participation.
In August 2022, 15 portraits were unveiled at O'Connell Park to honor community leaders, a place deeply connected to your own journey as is mine.
Right.
Who's the only person that shot a movie in O'Connell Park?
You are so far.
It's only one person, so we got to put that on the record.
Right.
It's only one person. Though my portrait wasn't on the wall, your decades of service have clearly shaped South Queens. How did that moment impact you personally, and what does your true recognition from one's own community mean to you?
Every day, families and children are going to walk by here on Murdoch Avenue and see this mural. The mural reminds young people in the neighborhood that there is a strong legacy of excellence here and that they can achieve their dreams too. A solid block on Murdoch Avenue here in St. Albans, Queens, filled with art and faces of community heroes.
It must be something in the water here, but we really have some amazing people.
15 panels, 10 portraits spanning an entire city block. 10 Queens legends honored in this new mural. From Jackie Robinson to LL Cool J to rapper Sweet Tea, who was overwhelmed by emotion. Are really emotional about this.
Yes. I mean, to pull up on the street and see your image larger than life in your hood is like, it's a feeling you can't explain.
This wall, a dream canvas, says artist Eric Black. You're not just the artist here, you're a big fan of all of these people.
Yes. Listen, all of us had a crush on Sweet Tea back in the day. You know, we thought we was LL. We would even try and smile and make the dimples.
It took months to create, and it borders the outside of the Daniel O'Connell Playground. It's just across from the Q83 bus stop.
From the start, it was like, no, this is not going to be small. This is going to be big, and it should be big.
Camille A. Brown, a Tony Award-winning dancer and choreographer, was honored in one of the portraits. Brown says the mural sends a strong message.
To see pictures of images of us in these spaces is so important because they can look, little black girls, little brown girls can look and say, I can do anything.
Also honored, Greg Vance, a beloved high school basketball coach and community champion, known as Coach Chuck.
For 51 years, I've been giving back to the community out of my pocket, free, no sponsorship, right? Even with LL, right? I helped LL with his first tournament here.
The power of community reflected in art, bringing the neighborhood together, inspiring the next generation to dream big.
Well, I was proud of the Councilmember Danique Miller started that project. Councilmember Natasha Williams now has improved the murals and redid them and made sure that they were really reflective of community people.
A couple of them people not from O'Connell Park.
I know, but they're still Queens.
They Queens. They definitely Queens.
But it's always interesting to find out whose roots are considered real Queens and whose are not. But
yes,
it was. I think it's a great project.
It's beautiful.
So
driving down to see it and not being defaced so it reminds me of over there on Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Where they got Count Basie and them.
Right.
So, we always had these young kids that's doing graffiti and defacing stuff. But those two murals, they don't touch them.
I got the Count Basie mural put up on Dunkirk. So
oh, really?
And under the St. Albans train station.
Yeah.
That was something that we did when I first got into city council. And I'm proud that we got to restore it now.
Yeah.
The time and age.
It need a little work.
The way that those bricks are, they leak and because from the water erosion. Right now, they're working on that, fixing that station, making it fully ADA accessible.
Okay,
that's something that we're doing, and then we're gonna, after we finish that work, we're gonna get the murals restored.
Yeah, that'd be nice. What's good? As you look back on decades of public service, what do you hope your legacy will be, both here in Queens and across New York State?
Making sure that people were taken care of, understanding that there's a need to improve communications with people, to encourage people to get into public service. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that I have a large group of former employees that are working in public service in major positions on a state, federal, and local level, encouraging other young people to get involved in government. And the biggest thing that I'm proud of is that we were able to raise the level of participation in the community by having community events. So I was the first person to do events in the park in the summertime. First person. We started Senior Week. We started opportunities to bring city agencies out to the community. There's a lot that
I cannot let you go without talking about what you're doing with my childhood friend, the LL Cool J basketball tournament.
Right.
I think you're the sole sponsor of that, right? Or the biggest sponsor.
We're a sponsor. I won't say sole sponsor, but we try to make sure that
you make sure it's not everybody knows you're doing that, and the kids look forward to that. It's been about what 8-9 years you've been y'all been.
No, it's close to they've been doing that tournament 12-15 years.
Hi, I'm Leroy Comrie, New York State Senator, 14th District. We're here at Jumping Ball in O'Connell Park, which has been going on for over 15 years now. Jumping Ball is sponsored by LL Cool J, a legend, a great, a Hall of Famer in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and doing many things, but he's never forgotten our community because he's been sponsoring this tournament since its inception. We have local people that are here playing basketball, both male and female. We also have local vendors that are helping feed people and giving out information with people. I want to thank the 113th Precinct. I want to thank all of the community folks that have put in time, volunteering to be here at Jumping Ball. I'm glad my staff is here also, working with the people here to make sure that today's program and the whole weekend program goes well.
LL has been coming back to the community.
He comes back every year.
Yeah.
My little son played in the basketball tournament last year.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. LL Cool J, so no matter what y'all say about him licking his lips and all Hollywood, he comes back to his community every single year. And during the championship game, he's there, the senator's there, Last year you had Hollywood Access there.
Yeah.
Hollywood Access was there. Yeah. So doing a lot of good stuff.
And he contributes sneakers and backpacks and school supplies to them as well. And
he gives everything.
Yeah,
good sneakers too. They want to give me a pair though. I tried to get some. They was like, it's for the kids. Life is for the kids. I said, wah. Let me get a pair.
Oh well.
Well, listen, Senator, you already know where you stand in my heart. I remember you when I was very young. You've been in politics a long time. Your name is golden in Queens. We love and adore you.
I've been blessed to have a lot of good people behind me. Mm-hmm. Queens and minorities in Queens are some of the smartest folk in the world.
Yes.
They keep me informed. They don't hesitate to let me know what their needs are and what their concerns and how they want me to move, and I, consistently depend on them to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, and they don't hesitate to let me know what they're thinking. So it makes me better. They've honed and shaped me, and through feedback from people and understanding that we all have to build on each other.
Yeah,
we all have to depend on each other. It makes all of us better.
And let me tell you, so when we started Corey's Corner been in existence for a few years, but I transitioned to doing interviews, and you definitely were somebody that I wanted to sit down and talk to. And our mutual friend, Rich, was like, yo, you better bring Leroy on. You better bring Leroy. He was threatening me. I said, man, and Rich is a little bigger than me. Yeah, so I said,
well, Rich is
let me get Leroy on here quick. I had to cancel somebody. Rich said, where Leroy at? You ain't bring Leroy yet. Well, Rich Leroy's here, Rich. Congratulations.
I'm honored that Rich is one of my protectors when I don't even know it. And I got, Rich is emblematic of what Queens people are. They fight for each other, they look out for each other, and they try to promote each other.
Nah, that's my guy. He's part of Corey's Corner, part of the team.
I'm glad to be on Corey's Corner. Thank you.
Appreciate you,
Rich. Appreciate you.
So is there anything that we did not cover that you want to talk about or leave the people with?
One of the big programs that we're going to be doing for next year is making sure that we push to get more money into minority businesses. And that's going to be a major push. So we're going to be teaming up with with our fellow colleagues to make sure that happens, that we get more money into minority businesses in Queens than we ever had before. And, fortunately, we have a good synergy. And that's what I didn't talk about. We have a good camaraderie between all the elected officials in Queens. We're not fighting each other. We're figuring out how to work together on big projects, and that's been a big help on everything from, stopping things from happening to making sure that other things happen. And so I'm very proud of the fact that we have a good synergy in Queens between the electeds, and we understand that we're more powerful when we work together.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for your dedication, for decades of work to the Queens community and the residents. We really appreciate you. And thank you for joining us on Corey's Corner.
Well, I'm honored to do what I do, and thank you for having me on. And I look forward to you continuing to be successful with Corey's Corner and everything else. So don't forget to watch Corey's Corner on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
I love it. Okay, I love it. For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, like, share, subscribe. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until the next time, keep grinding, keep pushing, and always remember, it's not where you start, it's about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. For one thing, we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.